Hi, I'm Denny's. Quick question. Ever had a text blow up into a fight you didn't expect? Yeah, me too. Communication screws things up and fixes them often at the same time. Today we're talking about how we actually talk to each other. Not theory, real stuff that works. You'll walk away knowing 3 clear habits to practice, 2 traps to avoid, and tiny scripts you can steal. First, we'll break down what most people mean by communication and why we conflate talking with connection. Then I'll share real examples, my own mess-ups, and what I changed that actually helped. Let's start with what communication really does for us, plain and simple. Communication is a transfer of meaning, right? But most people forget the meaning part is messy and private. Think of it like passing a folded note in class. Your note says one thing, their eyes read something else. The gap between your note and what they read is where most arguments live. I used to assume people heard the tone I meant. Then I lived with someone who heard the exact opposite. We'd both speak English, same words, different translations in our heads. Wild and exhausting. So first big idea. Intent is invisible. You can't assume it traveled with your words. If intent is invisible, then you need signals, tiny, obvious signals, to point at it. A signal is a one-sentence setup. I'm stressed, this isn't about you. That one line changes everything. I tried that line with a coworker once. We both stopped spiraling and fixed the problem in 10 minutes. Okay, second idea. Clarity beats cleverness every time. People love being witty, but clarity saves time and feelings. Think of clarity like labeling jars in your pantry. If you don't label, you'll grab sugar for salt at midnight. A clear sentence? I need help with the presentation on Tuesday. That's it. No riddles, no hints. I used to hint and sound petty. Then I started saying what I needed and got help more often. Third idea, listen to the gaps, not just words, pauses, breath, what's left unsaid. When someone says I'm fine and their jaw tightens, that's a gap. Notice it and ask a gentle question. Asking what's going on for you right now beats guessing or exploding later. Here's a concrete pattern. Short statement, one question, one action step. Repeat as needed. Example, I'm worried about money. Are you free to look at the budget tonight? I can pull numbers. That example names the feeling, asks for availability, and offers a practical next step. People often skip the action step and leave tension floating. Action grounds it and reduces blame. Now, common mistake number 1, assuming empathy, saying I know how you feel, is a trap. Why? Because you don't. You might relate, but claiming to know closes the other person down. Instead say, I can imagine this is hard. Tell me what that's like for you. That invites the real story. I used to say I know to hurry things along. People shut down, or they argued. When I asked, they opened up. Second trap, information dump. You think more info equals clarity, but it often buries the point. Imagine a friend calls at 2 a.m. and you get a 30-minute history. You still don't know what they need. Instead, lead with the need. I need someone to listen for 5 minutes, or I need advice on A or B. That tiny change keeps conversations short and useful and rescues friendships from overwhelm. Let's talk tone next. Tone is 50% of the meaning for most people. Not words, the way you deliver them. If you say that's fine with a flat, clipped tone, people won't take it at face value. I learned this the hard way during a text thread with my sister. My flat okay escalated into 3 days of silence. Texts are especially dangerous because tone is missing. Emojis are a crude but sometimes okay stand-in. If you need to be careful with tone, pick calls for the big stuff, texts for logistics. Pro tip, start hard conversations with can we talk? I'm in the mood to be honest and listen. It sets tone and permission. Now the idea of ownership. Say I feel instead of you make me feel. Ownership changes defensiveness to curiosity. Compare you never listen versus I feel unheard when you look at your phone during dinner. One blames, one describes. One shuts down, the other invites a fix. Honestly, try it once and watch the difference. I tried it with my manager, and it shifted our conversation from accusation to planning in minutes. Next, calibration. You have to match your communication to the person and situation. With some people, directness is relief. With others, directness feels like an attack. Adjust the temperature. How do you calibrate? Ask small questions first. Is this a bad time? Or do you want straight talk or want support? Calibration saved me from a blowout with a friend who needed gentler framing, not blunt fixes. Another practical, use mini check-ins. Are we cooling or heating up can interrupt a spiral. Check-ins are like traffic lights. They let both people pause and decide whether to proceed or step back. Okay, let's pause for a second. Quick question for you. When did a simple sentence fix a big problem for you? I want to know that story. If you have a second, tell someone this episode helped you rephrase one thing. It matters more than you think. Drop a quick note or rating if this hit you, and I'll read a few in the next show. All right, back to the second half. Tactics that actually change results. Tactic 1, the 2-minute rule for feedback. Keep initial feedback under 2 minutes, then pause for response. Why 2 minutes? Because attention collapses fast and defensiveness spikes after long monologues. I used the 2-minute rule with teammates and our meetings got shorter and less salty. Tactic 2, the what I heard repeat. After someone speaks, summarize in one sentence, then ask, did I get that right? It feels a little formal, but people love being heard. It prevents mismatched assumptions from building. I practiced this with my partner for a month. We caught misunderstandings before they turned into fights. Tactic 3, preface hard feedback with curiosity. Start with a question, then add your observation, then a next step. Example, I'm curious how you see this. I noticed X happened. Can we try Y next time? That structure reduces shame and gives someone a clear path to change, not just criticism. Tactic 4, intentional brevity for emails. First line equals why this matters, second line equals what you want, third line equals deadline. People respond faster to short, structured emails. Big paragraphs get saved for later and then ignored. I set this rule in my work inbox. 3-line emails get priority replies. It changed the pace in 2 weeks. Tactic 5, neutral naming for emotions. Use words like hurt or frustrated instead of crazy or overreacting. Neutral names lower the volume. When someone hears, I felt hurt, they're less likely to push back than at, you're being dramatic. Tactic 6, rehearsal. Say hard things out loud to yourself in simple sentences before you say them to someone. Rehearsal drops the drama. It helps you stick to what matters instead of a long laundry list of grievances. Now, what actually doesn't work, even though people swear by it? One bad habit, I'll just ghost until they learn. Avoid that. Silence escalates mystery and resentment. Another, pouring on facts to prove a point. Facts are useful, but used as a weapon, they only add heat. Also, don't assume tone in text. If the subject matters, pick a call or say, I want to talk about this on a call. Practice scenario time. Your partner cancels dinner at the last minute. You're annoyed. What do you say? Bad, you always cancel. Good, I was looking forward to dinner and felt disappointed when it changed. Can we reschedule? See the difference? The good line names your feeling and asks for a constructive next step. Another scenario. A coworker takes credit for your idea in a meeting. You're livid. What then? Bad, you stole my idea. Good, I noticed the idea I shared wasn't credited. Can we clarify this now so the record's right? The second line calls for correction, not drama, and it leaves room for repair. For hard conversations, bring a tiny ritual. Water on the table, 90 seconds of breathing before you start. Rituals slow everyone down. They reduce the chance that someone storms out or shuts down mid-exchange. If the other person gets defensive, use a reflective question. What part of that landed badly for you? That shifts defensiveness into curiosity and often reveals a misread word or tone, not malice. When you need to set a boundary, keep it short, state the boundary, a brief why, and the consequence calmly. Example, I can't stay late on weekends. If it's urgent, email and I'll respond Monday. Otherwise, I won't be available. Boundaries communicate respect for yourself and give others a predictable framework to work with. One more tactic, celebrate micro wins in conversation. If someone shows effort, say it aloud and mean it. Acknowledging tiny changes builds momentum. People repeat behaviors that get noticed and appreciated. Practical daily habit, at dinner or in a short text, name one thing the other person did well that day. You'll be surprised how quickly it softens tense patterns, even in relationships with old resentments. Okay, let's pull everything back into 3 big takeaways that are actually useful. Takeaway 1. Assume intent is invisible and use tiny signals to make your intent visible before things heat up. Takeaway 2. Speak clearly, short needs, 1 question, 1 action, and use I to own feelings, instead of blaming. Takeaway 3. Add structure, 2-minute feedback, summarize what you heard, and set small rituals for hard talks. If one line could change your next conversation, try this. I feel X. Can we do Y? Say it once calmly. If this helped you, share it with one person who struggles to be heard. A simple share makes a real difference. Thanks for spending time on this with me. Practice one tiny change this week and notice what shifts. Okay, goodbye for now. Take care.